All right. Hey, Charissa, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, you are. How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing pretty good. My back hurts. I haven't been sleeping very well. I don't know if that happens to anybody else, but I think it's probably because I've been working just a little bit too hard, and I've reached that threshold of more work doesn't equal more productivity. I think I just need to get some sleep tonight.
Yeah, I think, well, and it was a full moon this week too. So everybody that I've been in contact with is having major sleep issues. And I think it's just that time of year. You're gearing up for the holidays, you're trying to fix your sales, you're trying to, implement smooth systems to help yourself kind of figure out what the heck you're supposed to be doing the rest of the year, set yourself up for success, and then
Yep.
you sleep suffers.
Yeah, yeah, it does. But you want to know something?
Hmm.
I'm excited right now because I've been looking forward to this for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So, we're talking tonight about smooth systems to help you get more time, whether you're a one-man band like Dave right now, or whether you're managing a team like I am, because I have people all over the world. And so, our really intention in tonight's episode is to help you um, no matter what your kind of setup is right now, to help you save more time, get more done, be more efficient, and really use your time that you have wisely so that you're not going to miss out on sleep, you're not going to miss out on sales, and you're not going to miss out on, family milestones like your kids walking or, things like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Well, you talk about family milestones. There's a couple that I've been listening to a lot. Shane and Jocelyn Sams, they're the Flip Lifestyle people. And
Okay.
on their podcast, they have something called Can't Miss Moments. And basically, at the end of every episode, they share one thing that because they're entrepreneurs and because of their business, the way they've set it up, it's a moment that they would have missed if they had been working a traditional 9 to 5. So I really, really like that. I'm right there with.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's really important to make sure that your time is being spent wisely, whether you are one person or you are a team. Like for me, it's super important to take care of my team and make sure that I'm there for them. So we'll get into all that. But first, I want to ask you, what's your current workflow? I know you're like a one-man band and you do a whole lot for a lot of people, including me and all of the people that are watching right now. So side note, thank you for like championing this and for being that guy and for taking care of stuff. That's awesome. And that including everything else that you do every single day for everybody. How do you do it? What is that like for you?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I think some of this, I think it's always this way. It's a little bit more like do as I say, not as I do, because I try to stay in the workflows that I've set up. I've tried to stay with the habits that I've established, but shoot, stuff happens, right? And like you get out of it. So a lot of kind of what I've been thinking about when it comes to this, it's stuff that I'm striving for, stuff that I will reach, and stuff that I fall short of all the time. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, if you're watching, if you're listening, whatever the case might be, as we talk about this and as I share kind of my things, I just want you to know like I haven't perfected this stuff. I'm figuring it out as I go. And with me having a family, a wife and 2 kids, like 2 little kids too, like we're experimenting as we go. So as I talk, feel free to chime in using Twitter. We're going to be monitoring the hashtag tonight, DAC Talk. You can see it up in the corner there. Carissa's got it on hers as well. So you can chime in. We'll be monitoring that. If you've got any comments or questions, would love to hear from you. But right now, my workflow is a little bit crazy. And because I'm a one-man band, establishing systems has a different meaning, I think, for me in this season of life than it has in the past. And I know you're going to talk about the team part, Charissa, but I'll just set it up by saying coming out of an environment where I worked with 15 or 20 people on various projects and tasks at a time, it was super important that, I've got my whiteboard back here, and what we would do is we would say, okay, this is what we want to accomplish, and we would diagram a system that would allow us to seamlessly move from one thing to the next without me having to say to one of my volunteers that I worked with, Heather, did you get this yet? Because we established a system of
Hmm.
at this point in time, the document that you need is going to be in this place. Nobody emails you, nobody calls you because we've already written down, I wish I could get up and just start writing, but we've already written down and what our flow is. You know where it's going to be. So now that I'm working on my own and everything is kind of, central command here, systems that are providing me freedom have less to do with automation in terms of one thing showing up where it's supposed to be at the next thing, and it has more to do with getting clear on where I'm storing everything and where I start a project all the way to where I end that project. So it's less about clicking a button and everything automating, and it's more about, okay, I have to be intentional that when I write, I have to write in Evernote right now, because when I go to pick up that project later, I do everything in Evernote, so I'm not scrolling through Pages trying to find something that I wrote in Pages or something that I found in IA Writer or something that I wrote in Google Docs. All of my writing is done in Evernote. So it's that kind of thing. Does that make sense how I'm setting up the stage there?
Yeah, totally. So it's really not about, you're not dealing with communicating with other people. You're not dealing with, bringing other people and making sure that you're meshing your timeline with them at all. It's really more an internal setting yourself up for future success and organization kind of stuff.
Exactly. And I feel like I might touch a little bit on some of what we talked about last week, just because it's so tied together for me right now when it comes to systems and project management. They're so tied together because I am a one-man band and I'm managing projects from beginning to finish. So basically, my overall workflow right now is I work with two churches, and so I'll use those as an example. That's where I come from. I come from the nonprofit and the church world, and churches are notorious for being disorganized. At least internally, they're notorious for being disorganized because everybody wears multiple hats. And it's much like being an entrepreneur. You're wearing multiple hats. You're wearing your accountant hat, you're wearing your creative hat, you're wearing your billing hat, all that stuff. So what we would do in the church, and what I've set up with my clients, is I've set up the one place where everything gets kicked off, and I call it a communication form. And so when my clients communicate with me, they like communicating via email, but that's terrible for me because email ends up, I wind up getting all my projects mixed together. Even if I sort them out via folders, they're still all mixed together in my inbox with newsletters and junk mail and licenses and receipts and all this stuff. And I'm sure there's a better way to do that, but I'm not attacking that part of my life right now. I've got something that works, and here's what happens. I set up a form, and I use a service, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's called Mock Form, and it's very similar to like Woo Forms. It has a lot of similar functionality to like Google Forms, but essentially what it is it allows me, I install it on my server, and it allows me to customize forms that come through. So when a client says, I need to have my website updated, they check a box, and it pulls up all of the criteria specifically for having their website updated. Or if they say, I need to have an item communicated, like this needs to be in our overall communication strategy, they'll check a button, and that button set opens up all of the questions that are relevant for a communication strategy. So here's why that's important. What happens is when they fill that out, having all those questions pre-written means that when I go to execute on their request, I'm going to have the majority of the information that I need. So Charissa, if you were one of my clients, and you were saying, Dave manages all of the communication for House of Bliss. He's the one who manages the hub and makes sure that it goes where it needs to go. Rather than me finding that request later and saying, okay, Charissa, I got your request. Can you fill me in on all these details? My form, I adapt it over time, but my form basically has all of the information that I need, from start dates, start times, rooms, fees, all of that stuff. And when they click submit, it sends me a notification that I've got it. Now when I go to update their website, it's going to be all in one place. It's going to be in the mock form interface, and I can focus on one client at one time and the one set of tasks, which is either communication or website things. So it's this idea of it's in one place when I need it. So likewise, so that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is a lot of times I'm dealing with pictures and images, and clients will want me to do social media or update images for their website. So another thing that I do is twofold. If I use a lot of photos with a client, what I will do is I will have them upload all of their pictures to a Flickr account that we'll create and that we'll have credentials for, and I'll say, look, any pictures that you ever want me to use, just upload them to Flickr. Put them in Flickr because I can have the full resolution of them. We can organize them based upon the different groups inside your organization, and when you need me to add a picture to a event with children, I'll go into Flickr, I'll search for children, and there's all of the pictures that I need when it comes to making that change to the website. So really right now, automation, what it looks like for me is having everything where I can find it. And last week I talked about I don't like living in email. Email is where my time goes to die. So if I have to, it's so true though, like my time goes and it just dies, and I look around, I'm like, hey, where'd everybody go? Where'd all my hours go? Because it sucks it up. It's a giant time suck. So what will happen to Charissa, so I've got these forms, notifications will come in. I'll send my clients to different services like Flickr or like Dropbox, File Share, mock forms. I'll send them to different places depending on what I need from them. And then the last thing is I mentioned this last week, so I'm not going to go into it a whole lot, but Asana. Basically, I have all of my clients separated into different projects within Asana so that when I'm working on one particular client, I just go into that project and I see only that client stuff. And I make sure that everything gets into Asana. So when an email comes in from a client, rather than responding to that email, I forward it to my virtual assistant. They are able to decipher where it goes, and I archive that email. I don't do anything with it because I have confidence knowing that my virtual assistant is going to put it in the right place in Asana, and I'm not going to miss out on that correspondence. When I go into Asana, I open it up, I see who it is, who it's from, and then I'll go into my email if I have to reply, and I'll say this has been done, or I'll ask further questions. So that's a little bit of what it looks like for me right now. I know that we'll kind of keep going, dialoguing back and forth. I'm going to check real quick.
Yeah, you do have somebody, Brian Alexander. He's basically giving you a high five over Twitter.
Oh.
He uses Basecamp, and he's saying that it's a great thing to keep them out of their email. Yeah. And so that's how he's avoiding his time suck is through Basecamp, which is really similar to Asana. A little bit different functionality. I know we touched on that last week, but yeah, love that.
So I know that you're in a different place than I'm at, and I know that you've done the one-man band thing, and I know that you can empathize and sympathize with some of the struggles that I have. And I'll say this real quick before I ask you the question I have for you. I'll say this too. One of the biggest challenges that I have, honestly, is having somebody around in office kicking my butt, forcing me to finish deadlines, right? Because it's just the client. And honestly, and like I don't know if some of my clients are going to be watching this right now, but a real struggle for me is I know that I need to get something done for them. But it is putting the pedal to the metal and just making it happen rather than asking questions and kind of like stringing it along. Like that's a real challenge. Like I want to be as fast as I can for my clients, but sometimes because of my systems and everything like that, and not having someone to kick my butt, like everything's in the right place, but I don't have somebody like coming to me and saying like, here, let's exchange ideas just so you can pump this out. So that's a real struggle for me. But I know you're in a different place. You used to be the one-man, one-gal band, right? But you've got a team now, and you're spread out all over the world. And I know there's a lot of organizations that do this sort of thing. So what does streamlining look like for you with people all over the place and different clients? What does the process look like right now for you?
Well, it's really interesting. A lot of people question how I run House of Bliss just because it's different. Right now, as of this recording being current, I'm in Denver, Colorado. I have an assistant in Maryland. I have a writer in New York, and I have a writer in Germany. And so we're obviously crazy different time schedules. And on top of that, I travel all the time. I've been on 9 planes in the last 9 weeks, and I'm leaving again tomorrow morning for 10 days to be gone. So it's really
in, why don't you?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. And when I started House of Bliss, actually I have a post coming up on this tomorrow, but when I started House of Bliss, I really wanted it to be sustainable. I wanted it to be something that I could grow and that I could scale so that I didn't have to be there every day, which is crazy because you see a lot of people that are starting out or a lot of people that are brand new or they're solopreneurs and they are starting out and they're chained to their desk for 80 hours a week and they leave their corporate job, the 40 hours a week, punch your time clock, get your benefits. Like, that sounds delicious, but then you jump off that train and you get here to freelance and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself? So I really wanted to build House of Bliss to be sustainable. I really wanted to have it be able to run itself basically with some staff. And I didn't want to have to be there. So that was really what started me on implementing really awesome systems. So because I have a team and we're spread out all over the globe, literally, and we're spread out through different time zones and different things like that, first and foremost, it's really, really important to hire people that you like. And I know that doesn't sound like
absolutely.
It doesn't sound like a system, but it really is. My system for hiring, which is so funny to say, like I hear myself say things and I'm like, what? But my system for hiring is that I hire on culture first. We happen to be an all-female team right now. That's just because that's the way the cards have fell. But I hire on culture first. So I want to make sure that we get along. I want to make sure that you're not going to be upset that I'm posting pictures of tacos that I'm eating for lunch in our Slack chat. Like, I want to know that we can hang out and it's cool. And I'm all about, having talent as a writer too, since we are a copywriting firm. But I want to make sure that we're compatible sort of on a relational level first. And then
Absolutely.
we can write.
Absolutely.
Super important for me. Super, super important. So I hire on culture first and then ability. Common desires are important. We talked about this in our first episode of Desire Map. We talked about the Desire Map book and what that philosophy is like. So if you're lost right now, go back to our first episode and watch it. I hire people that are really in tune with what they want. Because when I know what they want, I can give that to them. So if I have someone that wants autonomy and I have someone that really, really just wants the details right out front of the gate and they can run with the project for 3 weeks, awesome. I need to know that so that I can give them what they want.
Absolutely.
I need someone that needs more attention or needs, every single day, how's this going? What are you doing? That kind of thing. That's going to impact our team. It's going to impact my communication. So it's just important to know what they're desiring, how they work. That's really the core of that. And then, since we're a bunch of girls, we talk a lot. And so it's really important to have communication really be streamlined. So routine is really big. I talk about this in my post tomorrow. For systems, communication, especially when you have a team, you can't expect, especially when you're not in front of each other all the time, it's really important to communicate and to say, okay, here's what I'm expecting from you, and here's what I need from you, and here's what I need to buy, and here's very clearly what I need.
Yeah.
And be able to communicate effectively and have a central hub. So we use Slack, which if you're not familiar with Slack, you can watch our episode from 2 weeks ago because we talk all about it. Dave and I both use it. We both love it. And I will sing their praises until I'm blue in the face because I love them that much. They're incredible. And they're basically a chat platform with added functionality where I can upload schedules, I can upload our time off, I can upload pictures of what I'm eating for lunch, I can upload quick to-do lists, things like that. It's really, really crucial for us to have communication like down to a T. So my team knows they can reach me there. I know I can reach my team there. It's really also important to have a private messaging functionality. So basically like the equivalent of a DM on Twitter. You're going to want to be able to give your staff an opportunity to talk to you or each other privately. Trust them that they're going to be able to talk to each other. It's going to be fine. And that way, there's some things that maybe shouldn't be discussed in public, like pay or whatever like that. Give people a chance to talk to you privately. So I would say the first layer on our layer cake of of distributed team efficient systems is communication. You have to make sure that we have effective communication or the whole thing just crumbles. Yeah. So that's really important for us.
So can I chime in real quick?
Yeah.
What? Did I do something?
No.
Oh, so one thing real quick, you were talking about hiring for culture. And I think that's fantastic. I think that's wise. I think having that type of a value placed at the highest, especially for intentional reasons, I think that's great. I've heard two other things added, and you can comment on these, or you don't have to. I'm just sharing two other things that I've heard that I try to think about, and though I'm not hiring right now, how does it apply to me, and how does it apply to how I work? But they say, so culture, you use the word culture. What I've heard is the word chemistry. And so there's three things. There's chemistry, competency, and character.
Absolutely.
And typically most candidates, you'll wind up finding two of those. You'll wind up finding like character and chemistry, or competency and character, or whatever. But if you can ever find somebody that has all three, like that's a gem. And the other thing that you mentioned that I thought was really, really good too, and this is an experience of mine, is when you're communicating with people. When I first kind of started, when I stepped out from working in a low-level role, okay, and I started stepping into a higher-level role in working in the nonprofit world, what I found was that emails were very short and to the point. And I had always been used to long, drawn-out, phone conversation type emails. And so what happened was my first boss in this real world, I would send him a really well thought out email, and he'd give me a 2-word response. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, he's mad at me. I'm going to get fired. He doesn't like the way I'm doing things. And so I talked to him about it, and he wound up saying to me something that made total sense. He said, I'm sorry I communicated that. I just need you to know that when I get done with your email, I've got 15 more that I'm trying to get through in this amount of time. And so that's just my way of acknowledging you and trying to get done so I don't waste time, writing emails. He's like, if you need more input, let me know. And I think that was very good, and I think you spoke into this where you established the guidelines for communication, because in a system of automation where things can break down is if there is not that clear communication on two levels. One, on the actual practical level, right? Like if you're not getting what you need from someone because you're not clearly communicating. Yep. But the more important one, on the relational level, right? So if there's not a clear expectation of how you're supposed to be communicating with a client, with a partner, with whatever, if there's not an expectation of these emails need to be short, right? There's not that, then there can be a wedge that will drive in between you, and then your systems will break down on a practical level. So you were talking, and those thoughts came to my mind, so I kind of wanted to share them there.
Yeah,
so.
And you're totally spot on with the 3 C's: character, competency. I mean, I think culture for me is really, really huge. Like I said, it's what I look at first when I hire, so I have to know we're going to be able to be friends. I mean, it's literally, to simplify it, it's like a first date. I mean, you sit down and you know if the person in front of you, if you're totally turned off, or if you're like, oh my gosh, this person's amazing, I could talk to them forever. When you leave your kids with someone, you have that gut feeling where you're like, I don't really want to leave my kids with this person. Same thing, you honor that, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with my team. I mean, I happened upon these 3 amazing women. And through getting to know them, through learning who they are, it's incredibly important. I mean, and it's kind of simplified, but a way that I first judge character, like especially, and I talk about this in my post tomorrow for my virtual assistant. Her name is Rachel, and Rachel, if you're watching, I love you. You're amazing.
Hi, Rachel.
She is awesome, you guys. I don't know how I would do a lot that I do without her, and she's really, really great. But part of having a virtual assistant is if they're going to manage anything financial, well, if they're going to do anything really that's including finances, for me, I always run a background check. Always, always, always. And it's not because you don't trust somebody. It's not because you're anticipating a problem. It's not because there's an issue. It's that I want to have full faith that, yes, here are my passwords, here's my credit card numbers, here's my frequent flyer accounts. She has everything. She has everything. She has all my passwords to my bank accounts. She has everything. And she manages things for me, like, flawlessly, because I trust her so much, and she's so good at what she does. So that definitely speaks to character, and that's a huge part of culture. I'm so glad that you kind of added that in there, because it is really, really important. I think those 3 things kind of go hand in hand. You have to make sure that you have chemistry with someone, like going back to that first date, you really got to make sure you can talk to them, that they're going to get you, that they're not going to misread what you're saying. You can joke around with them. You know, they're not going to be the stick in the mud. And especially when you have such a small team, like we're a team of 4 right now. When you have such a small team, if one person of that 4 is a stick in, that's a quarter of your team.
Yeah.
So, you know, that can really make things go downhill fast if you're having someone like that. So big thing for me for communicating and making sure those expectations are on the table is making it a routine. So every single morning when I sit down at my desk, I say hello to my team. Every single person I greet by name. Hello, how are you? Good to see you. What do you need from me today? We have a staff meeting over Google Hangout just like this, so I can see everybody's faces Monday morning, bright and early. And we all talk, we all make sure that we're all on the same page, and then I connect face-to-face with everybody at least once every 6 weeks outside of that. So we have a one-on-one meeting. How are things going? What do you need help with? What can I do better for you? What are you needing more of? What are you needing less of? That kind of thing. I'm just a really hands-on person. I want to make sure that I'm setting them up for success. And I know that even in an office setting, when you're there 40 hours a week and you're seeing people face-to-face, it's so hard to raise your voice when you're drowning. It's so hard to be like, oh yeah, like I can't handle this project, and oh, you know, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and oh, I can't handle this client, and whatever. And that's so much more extrapolated when you are, you know, however many thousands of miles away from your team. So I try to be really hands-on, have a routine, and make sure that I'm communicating really effectively and on a normal schedule with my team. That's huge for me.
Fantastic. So I've got a question, and I don't know if you're going to get into this.
Sure.
So my question for you, and this is one that I have for myself, like I said, like I'm not hiring right now, but before I hit the magic live button, I was telling you, you know, I know that my pace is unsustainable, and there's seasons where I've got to just kick my butt, right? And there's seasons where you just got to get stuff done. But I know that the pace is unsustainable. I know that I'm going to need to bring people on. One of the big concerns that I have when that happens is basically I interact with my clients, right? And if I'm not bringing somebody on to take over one of those core pieces, if I'm bringing someone on to help with the administrative or the margin stuff, they're not going to have that face-to-face emotional connection with my client that I will. So, for instance, in writing copy, you know, I'm going to hear the client talk. I'm going to understand. I'm going to hear their passion. But when I have a system for, you know, delegating these types of things, somebody that's working with me, they may not have that same intuition or whatnot. Like, what type of systems do you put in place to ensure that the integrity of the project is maintained no matter what station, no matter what placement it's at in the process? Does that make sense, that question?
Yeah, that's great. I love that. So I'm not a manager. I'm not really a person in general that likes to check up on things. You know that from working with me through this. But for everyone watching, like, I'm not going to be a helicopter parent. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the person that, you know, checks in on everything. It would drive my staff nuts. It would drive me nuts. So when I sign a client, I have a really similar onboard process to Dave's, and what I do is there's a form on my website where people, you know, fill it out. They give me their first name, last name, their Twitter handle, and their email address. Within an hour of filling out that email or that form on my website, doesn't matter what time of day it is, I will automatically send you an email with a PDF. The PDF has FAQs, it has, you can eavesdrop on my current clients and hear what they're saying about me. You can look at my pricing, and it also links you to a questionnaire, which I do through Typeform, really similar to Dave's kind of, you know, user-responsive form. And then at the end of the Typeform, at the end of the questionnaire, it links you to my calendar. It links you to the service that I use to manage my calendar, which we talked about. Yeah, you can book.me.
Oh, you can book.me. Yeah, your calendar that you use is Sunrise, but you can book.me integrates. Woo! I'm learning things.
Look at you, A student. I like it. So my onboard process, that's all taken care of. So my client is in charge of getting the information. It automatically gets delivered to them. They automatically know what I charge. They automatically know what my timeline is. They automatically know my price increase that's going effective in January. They already know all what they need to know. I'm answering all of their FAQs basically through this onboard process. So then they get on board, they schedule their call. That pops up. That's where my first interaction with this client is, provided it's not on Twitter or I'm sending them to my onboard, whatever. So I get their notification, and it says you booked a call with blah, blah, X client. Okay, cool. So I talk to this client on Skype or on the phone, and I record their phone call. They know that it's recorded. It's not like this, secretive, secretive thing where it's like,
I'm gonna record this
everything you
call.
say. I'm gonna replay it 5 times. I record their call, and that does a few things. It helps me get their vernacular. Like I have a couple of clients in Australia. They have different colloquialisms and different euphemisms and different, slang even, different culture.
Yeah.
So it helps me get their vernacular down. It helps me get their speech down. It helps me hear what they sound like native because they're just talking to me. They're not trying to impress anyone, I hope. They're not trying to, to do anything that's out of their ordinary. So I get to hear them, and I record it. So then I take their type form, which is their client questionnaire, their intake questionnaire, which is like 24 questions of, tell me about your business, your copy, all that stuff, and the recording of their call, and I put that in our Slack chat. Now, my team is trained so that they basically pick the project that they work on. I put the project into Slack, and if they have time and they feel like they can complete it and, within the deadline, they take the project. They can hear the initial recording, which is from the client themselves. They can read the questionnaire, which is from the client themselves, so nothing is getting lost in translation. And they write the copy. Then they deliver it back to the Slack chat to me before the deadline, and I read it over. So really, because there's not a lot of handoff, it's the client to me, to my staff, and then back.
Yeah.
It really keeps the integrity. I didn't want even somebody else to be the next chain to edit it. I just do it myself. That might change as our bandwidth expands, but as of right now, there's not a lot that we're having to deal with as far as handoff from project to station to station to station, because so much of it is kept intact by the client themselves during the onboard process. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
It does.
So what about you? Like, I know that right now it's you, but do you ever feel like you have to get back to that original? Do you ever feel like you stray from that yourself?
Say that again?
Like, do you ever feel like the project is, like, you're almost bunny trailing, like the project is taking a tangent and you have to get back to where you are? Do you ever feel like that happens?
Yeah, it does. I need to figure this out better. I will communicate with my client, and I wind up waiting on my client, and so I get in a work mode, and I'm wanting to pump everything out. And if you're passionate about anything, you know that when you're in that mode and you really begin to resonate with the message of what you're trying to do, whether it's writing copy or design, or if there's any type of creativity in you, you know that you get in these modes where all of a sudden you're just wild, crazy productive. You just start, pumping it out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then what happens is I will submit something to a client for feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll go radio silent for like 3 days. And then when I get it back, I'm disconnected from the feelings, from the emotions that I had when I was so productive and I was producing content that was really good and was producing the end results that the client wanted. And so right now, that's what I'm trying to work through, is how do I maintain passion in between that. And I think one thing that's really helped me out a lot is I take copious notes when I talk with my clients, and I'm putting them into very standardized formatting. So one thing that I do is when I'm talking to a client and we're going to redo their website copy, I create what I call kind of like a manifesto. And so when we talk about our customer service, these are the things that we say, and I use descriptors in there that help me get back into that mode. So if I'm having to write a customer service page, I'll go back and I'll read the copy that I wrote when I said, this is what we say when we talk about customer service. And so it kind of gets me back into that groove that I was at. But yeah, it's really easy to stray, especially, you mentioned that you'll give Rachel your credit cards and all that type of stuff. And so a question that I had was, what type of system do you have set up for making purchases? Because one thing that'll happen to me is I'll be working on a project and I'll realize, oh, I need to purchase something for it. And so then what I'll wind up doing is, rather than emailing off and ask somebody to make the purchase, I'll have to write it down, and then eventually I'll have to remember to make that purchase, or worst case scenario, I go and make the purchase in the middle of being in flow. So like, do you have systems set up and say, at this point, this is when I delegate this type of thing. At this point, I delegate this type of thing. These are the type of things I keep to myself because I get in these really good workflows and I've got my stuff set up, but sometimes I get taken out of the groove. Does that question?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, like I think I suffer from passionate person syndrome, which is where like I love everything that I do so much that I could do it all, and that's how you burn out.
Yes.
So, could I do accounting? Yes. Have I done accounting? Yes. Could I do social media? Yeah. Do I? Yes. Could I write back all my emails? Yes. Is it a pain in the butt? Yes. So it's really one thing that I talk about a lot when I have clients. They're like, I really feel burned out, but I don't want to hire an assistant. Like, okay, well, give me 20 things that you don't like doing, and you just watch them spout. Oh, I hate doing accounting. I hate running payroll. I hate answering my email. I hate organizing my calendar. Like, can you delegate any of those things? Oh, yeah. So it's really, for me, I started with the stuff that I hated doing. So that was kind of how it started. And then I really to knowing your people and knowing their genius. So Rachel's really, really good at connecting with people. She's very relational. And so knowing that about her, I put her in charge of our client ticketing system. So I use FreshBooks, which we can put in the show notes. We'll put a link. It's amazing. It's a service that we use literally every single day. It allows my contractors to track their time, and then they can invoice me right for their time. It also allows, it has a ticketing system built in, so Rachel can sign right into with all of our client tickets. Our clients know how to submit tickets themselves. That goes out in our onboarding thing too. So they know how to submit a ticket, and Rachel will take care of that. Now, that being said, FreshBooks has the opportunity where, since Rachel's built in a staff, she can bill a client for something. So I know that if we're going to have a client that needs us to set up a MailChimp account on their behalf, and they want to use automation, which is a paid feature, well, I'll pay for it, but that I'm rebilling that expense to that client. Rachel knows that already. So that happens when we're talking about the scope of the project at the beginning with the client. I'll have the recording, and I'll say, okay, Dave, I know that you want me to set up a MailChimp account for you, and that you want to use automation, so that's going to be X amount per month. I'll go ahead and set that up, and I'm going to rebill you for it. You say, awesome. So when that gets put in there, I tag Rachel into Slack, and I say, Rachel, here's a bill for X client. Can you set this up recurring? She says, yeah, no problem. She sets up the invoice, bills it to the client. We're good to go. And that just happens all through Slack and all through FreshBooks. So it's really a matter of having everything kind of seamless. That's our thing for purchases. That's how we kind of handle that. Plus, if I'm going to have something that I am ordering every single month, Rachel just usually takes care of it. So if I say, hey, don't let me forget to send so-and-so a gift, or don't let me forget to send out my, holiday cards or whatever, she's on it. And she probably already has an order because she's just on the ball. So yeah, that's how we handle purchases. That's my main thing right now for that.
One thing that I'm really working on right now, that I'm investing more and more time in, and I've actually been using my whiteboard to help map it out, is getting more specific with automation within email and my newsletters, because and trying to write my content in chunks of time rather than write it just before it's supposed to go out, and have different automation. And one thing that I think that has helped me so far, like right now, I've been giving away Christmas images for people to use in their content, but I've got an automated delivery system set up to where whenever somebody opts in, they get it. The automation through MailChimp automatically sends it out, and I want to expand that out because I would like to communicate with those new people more in depth than just, hey, here's your free download, and then get them right into my newsletter. I would like to build a relationship with them first. So that's something that I'm exploring and I'm spending time with. Something else that I've been dedicating portions of the day to certain things rather than.
I was just going to talk about that.
What's that?
I was just going to talk about that. Keep going.
Okay. Well, I'll say what I did, and I'll let you chime in what I'm working on. But I dedicate portions of the day to certain things, and I've been setting up my day before I go into the office to know what my first thing is going to be when I get in, and then that's what I'll do. So, today I knew my first thing when I came in was to record, the podcast that I do. It was to record that podcast, produce it, produce the show notes, and then ship it. And so that took, 3 hours or so to do, but that was the first thing that I did. And then the second thing that I did was go through all my email and make sure that I was caught up on it. And then the third thing that I did today was I had a one-on-one Facebook consulting call with my buddy Eric, and we were just going through his Facebook page. And so those were the three things that I knew that I had to do today. And in the margin of those things, I had time for a little side thing here or there. But that's what I've been doing to kind of help streamline my day, have things planned, especially as an entrepreneur. If I don't have those things set up, it's easy to get distracted and all sorts of stuff. So what were you going to chime in on that? What are your thoughts?
So this is something that I learned actually from one of my staff writers. Her name is Sarah, and she's probably watching tonight. So hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Sarah posts a lot about batch and chunk momentum, and I had heard of this idea like in my far, far recesses, the Rolodex of my brain, but hadn't really ever implemented it until I had Sarah, in my team chat every day. And basically, there's a couple different ways that you can kind of work this, but I do it per client. So I know, okay, if I have Dave on my schedule, and if Dave and I are caught up and I have everything that I need from him, I'm not going to have to wait, hey, I need details on this, or hey, can you deal with this, or hey, I need topics for this, or whatever. If I have everything that I need, I will set aside a day or 2 days or a week or whatever to work on your stuff and your stuff only. And so actually I can see on Sarah, or on Twitter, that Sarah said that she just joined System. We're just talking about you. So yeah, Sarah's really awesome at the batch and chunk mentality. Her work momentum is amazing, and it's largely because of that. She's really good at basically batching like clients together, or like projects together even, and doing those in chunks of time, which is so awesome. Like, it's a brilliant idea. It's a really good way to make sure that your momentum stays, and then you just kind of snowball it, because you say, okay, I'm done with Dave's project, now I'm going to do this, or now I'm going to do this other project, and it just snowballs. So yeah, I was actually going to touch on that too, and it's perfect that you brought it up. It's awesome.
I mentioned at the front end the Flip Lifestyle podcast. That's another thing that I've been doing, and it's a system that helps me kind of clear my thoughts. And I know that it's not an automation thing, but right now, like I said, automation is just a really hard thing for me because it's just me. So I've been trying to find things that help me maintain some sort of semblance of normal work relationships. And so you talk about the writing in content in chunks. That was a conversation that they had in the podcast that they talked about that I listened to today. And I found that podcasts, and listening to them, listening to a few, listening to them regularly, it's kind of creepy, but I think it makes sense to people who do it. It makes me feel like these are my coworkers, and these are the people who are kind of challenging my thought process and kind of doing some of that butt kicking stuff. And hopefully maybe that's what this is for some people. It's an opportunity to just kind of brainstorm and kind of just let the mind go where it needs to go to think about some of this stuff. But that's another thing. So you talk about that writing in chunks. I just heard that today from something that I've been implementing, and that's listening to podcasts. So what other things do you have on the docket to talk about? I think I have one more thing. Do you want me to share my last thing that I had?
Yeah, go for it.
The last thing, actually I have two things. The first one, the second one's short. The first one is this attitude of tutorials. Now, I'm huge on tutorials, and now that I've started using Assistant, I'm getting back into the mode of creating tutorials, monitoring myself, recording myself do something once on video or in a PDF, and then delivering that to somebody so they can execute that task over and over and over again. And eventually they internalize it. And what I say to them when I've done this in the past is I say, at first, I want you to do it the way I'm telling you to do it. Once you understand the process and the value behind the process, I'm totally open to you creating your own process if it makes you more effective and more efficient in doing that. But the expectation is you're going to do it the way that I prescribed it at first so we get the result. Then you can improve upon that process. So creating tutorials using things like ScreenFlow. There's a great system out there called Suite Process that's great for documenting processes to share with other people. That's been huge for me. And then the last one, absolute last one, is for me, it's all about being willing to commit to a process and then being consistent. We talked last week how both of us, both you and I, are kind of junkies when it comes to productivity apps. I found that I have to, as much as I love them, I've got to commit to using a particular system or service and just stick with it. I can't be constantly trying other things out in my normal workflow. Like I might be able to put one thing in there and see how it works, but I've got to commit to a system and just stick with it. And if I'm going to change, it better be a darn good program and a big benefit for me to change. But I got to maintain consistency in the tools that I use and the times that I use them. So that's kind of my last couple things to add into this conversation.
Yeah, and I totally love those points. I think it's really important. I mean, I think it's touching back on the podcast about them being your coworkers. I think, and I know that Sarah can relate to this too. She was a solopreneur for about a year before she came on board with House of Bliss, and I remember her intake interview. She was very, very excited to be working around other people, even if it was parallel work. And so, I mean, even if you're in a distributed team, it can get lonely. And so I think making sure, I mean, obviously I will beat the relational horse till the day I'm dead, but I love relationships, and I love talking, and I love this sort of thing. I love it because it's so crucial to keeping that social aspect for me in business and in just life in general, but especially in business. It's so important to have that relationship with your customers, so important to have that relationship with your team, so important to have that relationship with your own boundaries and your own integrity, because you want to make sure that you're not burning yourself out. So having resources that you can collect, like podcasts, are huge. I read a lot of other copy blogs. I read a lot of non-copy blogs, and I stay in touch with a lot of people via Twitter because it helps kind of feed that. And I can I'm an extrovert, so I can juice up on relationship and on chatting, and then I can, heads down in my cave in my office and get my work done. Yeah. So yeah, I totally think that that's brilliant. I think the only things that I wanted to add at the end were just knowing how you work is really important. Don't try to be something that you're not, especially if you're a one-man band, or if you're trying to, to have a team that you're leading, or a team that you're trying to manage. I think knowing how you work and trusting your process and maintaining your process, honoring it, is really, really important. So I know that I'm not a morning person. I don't tell my team that I'm going to be at my desk at 7:30 because they know it's not going to happen. So do I. I work really long days, so I'll be at my desk around 9, and I don't leave till maybe 7 or 8. But then I'm gone. Like I'm out of the office tomorrow through December 1st because I'm traveling, because I have a job that allows me to do that, and because I have a team behind me that knows exactly what's expected, that's going to, meet the needs of our clients, be able to be there, be responsive, get everything they need to get done, and then take, a week of holiday. Mm-hmm. So knowing how you work is really important. For me, I have to have travel built into my schedule. I just do. It's like an itch I have to scratch. A lot of people have to work their work schedule around their kids. A lot of people like to work in the dark. People like to work in the light. Like, I know if I'm in my office too many days a week, I have to leave. I know if I feel like I'm losing touch with the outside world and I haven't, connected with somebody, I need to get on Twitter, make a lunch date, and leave my house. Yeah. It's all about knowing how you work. And so for me, that's really crucial, and it's really crucial for my team to know that too. And that goes both ways. So if 2 weeks ago, one of my staff writers, the one in Germany, her name is OTD, she wanted to stay at the gym instead of coming to staff meeting. I know how important that is to her. It wasn't a crucial staff meeting. I said, go for it, girl. She stayed at the gym, totally made her day, totally made my day to make her day. So it's really important that you're communicating, you know what you want, you know how you work, and if you can find a team or build a team where that can happen cohesively, perfect. I love it.
That's awesome. Now, little bit of a side note. You tweeted out that you were going to be representing something tonight.
Yes, I'm in a buffer shirt because this is the power of relationship, you guys. So 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we're talking about, yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. We're
Yeah.
talking about our favorite resources. We're talking about FreshBooks and Slack, and you can book me and my password and all this stuff. And Dave and I both love Buffer. Like, love the, I'm not going to give you a boob shot, but we both love Buffer. Huge. And use them every single day. Actually, as I'm talking to Rachel, my assistant is logging into Buffer to handle my social media for the week. Awesome. Buffer is amazing, and they sent me this awesome shirt, and I didn't even tell them to send me a pink one, and they did. I love pink. I have my pink water bottle and my pink feet. They know that I love pink, and I even have pink pens, Dave. It's like a sickness. It's just sickness.
You're awesome.
And they sent me this pink shirt, and I love them. So Buffer, if you guys are watching, thank you very much for the shirt. I love it. I think I'm going to wear it to Kauai tomorrow, just so that I can spread the Buffer love through LAX and through Lihue Airport.
That's awesome. So I have another question. Other than traveling to Hawaii, is there? That can't be your answer, because I'm sitting here, my back's hurting, I'm tired, and I'm just like, get me to Disneyland. I just need to be at Disney. That'll make everything better. So you can't make that your answer, although I am excited for you.
Okay.
But other than that, is there anything coming up that you're just excited about? Work, non-work, professional, personal, whatever. Is there anything coming up that you're excited about other than Hawaii? Because of course you're
Yeah,
excited.
I know I can't use that as an answer. Yeah, I'm excited. Well, I say because there's a lot that I'm excited about. I'm a pretty easily excitable person, so I'll pick a few. Really, really stoked for private curriculum that we have. I'm building basically an invite-only curriculum for a really small group of entrepreneurs that want to boost their business through their copy. We're going to tackle about pages, sales pages, landing pages, email automation, social media, customer profiles, customer thank you notes, everything that you could possibly write for your business we're going to talk about. It's called Bliss Boost, and it starts in January. My VIPs can register right now, and they have actually a $200 off coupon. So if you're not a VIP, we'll put the VIP link in the show notes. You guys can go there and check that out. You also get a free $50. It's worth $50. It's a Bliss guide about pages. It'll teach you how to write your about page in like 10 steps. It's awesome. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hosting and creating this curriculum called Bliss Boost that basically is going to be an interactive chat style class where we're all going to be in a forum together, and it's awesome. It's 7 weeks long. We're going to talk about different parts of your business every single week. And so that launches in January. You can go to house-of-bliss.com/blissboost, and you can see it there. I'm really stoked about that. That's kind of professional side. Personal side of things, besides vacation, I'm really excited for Christmas. I'm a Christmas junkie. So I'm really excited for that. And let's see what else. Yeah, I'm really excited for those two things. I think that's going to be big. And those are kind of both like the end of the year, sort of beginning of 2015 thing, but we're only a couple weeks away from December, so thanks. What about you? I want to know what your favorite candy is, and I want to know what you're excited for.
All right. My favorite candy right now is Milky Way Dark. Typically I'm a Twix guy or a Kit Kat guy, but I haven't been able to find what?
Twix is my favorite.
Oh, they're so good. 2 for me, none for you. Typically I'm a Twix or a Kit Kat guy, but I haven't been able to find a full-size Milky Way dark candy bar anywhere, and so I'm like totally craving one. I check the grocery store every single time I go through. I haven't been to any convenience stores lately, so I haven't looked there, but that's my favorite candy right now. And then what I'm looking forward to, well, you know this, I've been working super hard. I love Twitter. When I exited my full-time job back in July, the network that I had created through Twitter was so supportive, not only in emotion, but also in responding to some of the professional opportunities that I was putting out there. It totally boosted my confidence and made me feel like I had a voice worth listening to, like I had something worth contributing. And so I've been working super hard to create a guide that will help other people basically get out of Twitter whatever it is they're looking for. If they've got a message, I'm going to use this guide to show people how they can get their message out and find the people who want to hear from them. And I don't know how to quite word this yet, Charissa, but I just believe so. It's funny because you're the word person, but like I believe so firmly that there is somebody, and not in a conceited way, but in a responsible way, that there is somebody who needs to hear my voice, that my experiences, they will lean into helping them get to that next place in life that they need to be. And I believe that that's true for every single person out there. Anybody watching right now, you have a voice that needs to be heard by somebody else, because without your voice, they won't get the encouragement. They won't get to the next place they need to be. So I'm hopefully going to be launching this thing in the next week and a half. I showed you you can't see it because I've hidden it, but I got a movie studio right here that I've been recording all my videos. So when that launches, I'm just going to be ecstatic. It's going to be a huge personal accomplishment for me. I've never worked harder on any single project ever in my life. So I'm excited about that. And then on a personal note, I'm excited for Christmas too, but for a little bit different reasons. Because I worked in the church area for the last 11 years, I worked on Christmas Eve, and I worked heavy hours leading up to the week of Christmas every single year. So this year I'm going to get to attend church with my wife and my kids. I'm going to try to minimize all my work prior to the week of Christmas so that I can spend a lot of time the week of with my family. And then we're hopefully going to be planning, we're going to California the week after Christmas, but hopefully going to Disneyland and doing some fun stuff there. So some good stuff to look forward to.
Disney junkie. Backtracking just for a couple quick minutes, what's the name of your Twitter product that you're working hard on, and where can we find it?
Oh, yes. It's going to be called Guide to Twitter by Dave Shrein, because I have to distinguish that it's not endorsed by Twitter. So Guide to Twitter by Dave Shrein, and you can find out more about it at daveshrein.com/GTT, Guide to Twitter. daveshrein.com/GTT, and I've got a little page up there right now where you can enter your email address, and in the next week I'm going to start sending out just some really great content. Oh, can I tell you a little mini project that I'm working on for it that I want to send out to people? I found the best tool for finding the group of followers that are going to be most on Twitter, that are going to be most likely to resonate with your message and follow you back. Essentially, I found a tool that will help anybody who uses it find somebody and get them to follow them within 24 hours. And I've showed it to like 6 people in the last couple months, and I said, I guarantee you within 24 hours this person will follow me. Guess what? Every single time they did. So I've got this little tool I'm going to be sending out to everybody on the Guide to Twitter mailing list that's going to reveal this tool and how I use it and how they can find their audience and begin putting out content that's going to help those people specifically. So it's really good stuff. I'm excited about it.
Okay, so when do we get that?
What's that?
When do we get that?
I actually have it right here on my laptop, and there it is. I have it. I'm working on it, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have it done tomorrow, and I want to send it out. My goal is to send it out by Friday. So now I'm putting the stake in the ground. Friday, I'm going to send it out.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I'm itching. I'm excited.
Me too. So, hey, Charissa, this was so much fun. I love hanging out with you. This means a lot to me. I hope the people who are watching, it means a lot to you too. Really, our whole goal for this, if you haven't watched the first episode yet, but our whole goal for this is not that we are any better or any more expert than you are. It's just this idea that, hey, we're working on some stuff and we want to talk about it and put our successes and our failures out there and allow anyone and everyone to be a fly on the wall, because I know that's how I learned. I know that's how you've learned in the past, Charissa. And so that's really our hope for doing this, is that it would just be an encouragement that, hey, we're going through these things too, and you're not alone in this entrepreneur online small business world. There's other people who are trying to make their way through it and navigate it too. So thank you so much for doing this with me. I'm loving it, and I'm excited for our next one in 2 weeks.
Dude, you're welcome. I'm stoked. I really love just being able to share and be transparent. This is like a mastermind for me. Like, I get to hang out and talk to you for an hour every week at least, and this isn't, an hour live, but we talk throughout the week, which is awesome, and we get to communicate with so many other people that are on the journey of, you know, working for themselves or being better in business or just trying to tweak their systems or whatever it may be. Yeah, if you guys are watching and you have feedback for us, please use the hashtag DocTalk.
Yes.
Tonight. You can use it throughout the next 2 weeks before we have episode 5. You can use it. We track it every single day. So if you have feedback for us, check us out on Twitter. Dave's name is on his graphic. Mine's right here. If you don't know how to spell my name. And get a hold of us. Ask us questions. We're here to help. We really want this to be a resource for you. We don't bite. Please reach out to us if you have questions or comments or feedback or tacos. I would love some tacos.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will be tweeting out the next topic and the next date in the coming days. So if you're not following me, follow me, and you'll be able to catch it there. Charissa is going to retweet it like it's hot. And guys, thank you so much. Love you guys. Thanks for participating, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.